Okay, welcome to the video, guys. Today we're going to be going over the Burston Prime and the Incarnon mode for it. In this series, I like to take weapons, I build them out, and I test them on their own merits without any Warframe buffs or pet buffs or pet damage or anything. That way we can just view the weapon as it would work by itself. So, Burston Prime, it's a primary weapon. It also has an Incarnon mode. I'll go over that at the end. So it's a 3-shot assault rifle. It's like a burst assault rifle. And once you get enough headshots, you can activate the Incarnon mode. And the Incarnon mode turns it into an assault rifle, a fully automatic assault rifle with explosive bullets. The explosion radius is quite small, but if enemies are right next to each other, they can take damage from it. So for this build, we're going to be using Galvanized Chamber to increase multi-shot, Galvanized Scope to increase crit chance, Serration for flat damage, and I'll go over an alternative to Serration because some people don't like to use it, Prime Shred for fire rate and punch through, Critical Delay and Vital Sense for crit chance and crit damage, and then 2 element mods making viral. So it's going to be Malignant Force and Prime Cryo rounds. Keep in mind that in the new Whispers content, viral is very weak, and so in Whispers content you would probably want to switch these around to corrosive instead of viral. But for other, non-Whispers content, general gameplay, viral is going to be the best. Agile aim in the Exilis slot, just to be able to move around a little bit quicker when you're aiming. There's not really much else better in the Exilis slot. I mean, if you want to save, maybe a Forma, you can just not even use an Exilis mod. The weapon doesn't have ammo issues, so you don't need to use, an ammo Exilis or anything like that. So I just use Agile aim, helps me move around a little bit quicker. And then we're going to going for Primary Deadhead for more headshot damage and more flat damage. Now to go back to the Serration slot. The Serration slot is your Riven slot. So if you get a Riven, it'll be pop tier, more likely. Until then, though, if you don't like Serration, Galvanized Aptitude is a option. So Serration versus Galvanized Aptitude, there's going to be some situations that Seration's better, and there's going to be some situations where Galvanized Aptitude is better. And so, you could really kind of test yourself and see which one you like better than that. Just remember, though, that the Incarnon mode doesn't have IPS stats. So like the regular burst fire mode, which you're not really going to be in most of the time, has a bunch of IPS. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 different elements that it can be applying. But in the Incarnon mode, it's only going to be 2 elements. It's going to be heat and viral. So at max, you're going to be getting, 160. So it'll be 80% status with 160 flat damage. And that's why sometimes Galvanized Aptitude can be better than Serration, because Serration is 165 damage with no status. So if you plan to kill enemies in 1 or 2 bullets, Serration is going to win out. But on bigger enemies like Eximuses or like Acolytes, Galvanized Aptitude will win out. So that's the big difference between Serration and Galvanized Aptitude, is if you're 1, 2, maybe even 3-shotting enemies, Seration's going to win. If it's taking you a bit to kill an enemy, Galvanized Aptitude's going to win. So that's really up to you what you want to use there. Okay, so we're going to go back here, and we're going to be checking out the Incarnon mode here. So the first evolution is just, where it starts. So the second evolution here, we are using the increased damage by plus 42. And if you have armor over 450, it's plus 2 punch through. Now, that plus 2 punch through for this build, with me having Prime Shred, it's nice to have plus 2, but I already have punch through with Prime Shred, so it's, it's just a little extra, I guess. The alternative here is increases damage by plus 42, so same as the other one. And you get plus 5 multi-shot on the final burst of the magazine, but that's the burst, not the Incarnon mode. So, and that's why we don't take that one. We want it to work on both modes, specifically the Incarnon mode, really. So, second evolution here, we're going with minus 50% weapon recoil, and that opens up that Exilus slot for us to either not put anything there and save a Forma, or to use Agile Aim, where we just move a little bit quicker when we're aiming in. Your other options are on reload from empty reload speed, but again, that's only the burst mode. And then increases magazine capacity by plus 21. Again, that's only the burst mode, and that's why we don't take those two, is because they don't really affect the Incarnon mode. This one will. And then finally, for the last Incarnon evolution, we're going to be doing the middle one, Absolute Valor, which is just going to give us a large crit chance boost by plus 22%. This one here, Fatal Affliction, it's plus 40% direct damage per status type affecting the target, but just remember that the Incarnon mode, we have the viral that we put on our weapons, and then it has innate heat, and so that's only going to be plus 80% direct damage, which is not as good as 22% crit chance. And this one here is, again, not affecting the Incarnon mode. It's on a full burst hit, you get more damage, and it resets on reload. So that's why we're not using that. We're going to be taking the middle one here, Absolute Valor. So we're going to take this through a Kuva Survival on Steel Path for about 10 minutes. We're going to kill some trash and some acolytes with it and see how it works. And then we're going to take it through a Lua Conjunction Survival and see how far this weapon can get us. This weapon is an extremely powerful weapon, probably one of the best primaries in the game, with the Incarnon mode. If you don't have the Incarnon adapter on this weapon, it is a weak weapon. I would not suggest spending a lot of resources in this unless you're going for the Incarnon adapter, which you probably should be going for with the Duviri content. So we're going to be doing this on an Inaros with no Archon Shards, that way nothing affects weapon damage. No mods that affect weapon damage. No arcanes that affect weapon damage. And with a pet with no weapon and no mods on the pet that affect weapon damage. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to queue up the Kuva Survival. Let me double check that I have a melee on just in case. I think it's Mania that spawns where my little Nakana, there it is. Mania spawns and he puts the turbulence on him and you can't shoot him. So I bring a melee just in case that scenario happens.
Scans show Grenier are harvesting Kuva nearby. Set off the alarms to draw them out, then steal their Kuva.
I'm going to cast my 4 here just to double my armor, and that'll be the last time I use an ability. If I have to use an ammo pad at some point, I'll make sure I say so. So you're just going for headshots here. You see the little bar in the middle filling up. And then I'm going to switch it to Incarnon mode. And then we're just going to red crit away here. Red crits on everything. The Incarnon mode is very generous. It gives us 400 of these shots. Oh, thanks for the follow. And to fill the Incarnon is also very quick. So as soon as we're done with these, this Incarnon here, it's going to go back to burst here. We just got to get a few headshots. And then we can pop it right back into Incarnon mode. And we begin our red crit adventure again. And again, this is just the weapon itself. There's nothing being mixed. There's nothing else that's increasing crit chance. This is just the weapon. So this is what makes the Burston Incarnon one of the strongest weapons in the game. One of the struggles of this weapon is seeing past all the red crits on the screen. Sometimes you can't see, what's past it, which is, hard times. And this is very good at dealing with both small and large enemies. It doesn't really struggle with. Once the Acolyte spawns, we'll see how this does against him. You can cause self-stagger to yourself. It's a very small explosion radius, but if an enemy gets like right up in your face and you go to shoot, you will self-stagger a little bit. Because it's a very small explosion radius, Prime Fulmination is also not an option, because it's just not really going to be worth using a mod slot to slightly increase an explosion radius. You just kind of view this weapon as a single target weapon, and you get a little bit of added damage where sometimes the explosion hits an extra dude. Looks like we picked up a little hitchhiker. We're going to keep him with us. He fell off. It's too bad. I'm going to expend this Incarnon, and I'm going to make sure I fill it up all the way, because I think we're going to be getting an Acolyte pretty soon. There we go. Yep, there's the Acolyte. And get somewhere a little bit open where I can fight him, maybe up here. It's Malice. I just have to be careful I don't kill myself with him. Spawn down below, of course. All right, I have the Malice bubble on me. I think I just dropped it. Got to figure out which one of these is him. That's not him. And he's dead. And again, because it's punch through, you can actually just shoot through walls and doors. Certain things the game counts as like soft cover, and some of the things the game count as hard cover that like punch through doesn't work at all. But doors are counted as like soft cover, so you can, if the door closes, you can just shoot right through the door. Got a little friend with us again here. And again, if you're playing Whispers content, instead of viral, you want to go to corrosive. Just because enemies in Whispers content are strong against and immune to viral. And if you're playing Whispers and you're trying to do 60 eyes, you want to use radiation. So radiation for 60 eyes, corrosive for general whispers content, and then viral for everything else. I'm showcasing my bad aim and filling this Incarnon up. So we'll hit 1 life support just because we're at 55%. If you're out of Incarnon and you find like a big, thick Eximus guy, you can kind of just fill your whole Incarnon by shooting his head, you know, a couple times. So that's a nice way to fill the Incarnon up when you're out of it. These guys are spawning right in front of me, and they're making me self-stagger. And I got my weapon soul. So we got the second Acolyte coming. We're going to go up top here. Hopefully he spawns up here, but might spawn down below again. Misery. I don't believe he's the Zephyr Bubble guy. Where are you? I think he's below. Oh, he's right in front of me. Okay. And he's gone. So at the 10-minute mark, we'll extract and we'll queue up the Lua Conjunction, which is going to be a little bit harder than this, and it's also going to be mixed enemies because it's corrupted. We'll see how far this weapon can take us, but I feel like this weapon will take us all the way to 20 minutes. We won't go past 20 minutes because that'll make for too long of a video. In Lua Conjunction, the hardest part of it is usually the first 5 minutes because you get the Acolyte and the Thraxus spawning at about the same time. Then after 5 minutes, it's really just conservation of your life support supply. That weapon got stolen somewhere. Where is it? Did it? Is this it? Nope, that's it. It's probably right in front of my face. There it is. Alright, so let's head over to extraction. I gotta find where the little... There it is.
We will all share in this bounty. Hold out as long as you can.
And we'll see how many kills we got in that 10 minutes. Click stats here. So we got 805 kills in 10 minutes, which is extremely good. Some of like the average weapons were like going about like 400, 450-ish kills in 10 minutes. So this is very good comparatively. There we go. Okay, so let's queue up that Lua Conjunction. We'll get that going, and we will likely get all the way to 20 minutes, but I don't want to jinx myself too much.
art of combat must be practiced to truly master the canvas of war.
I'm going to use my 4 to double my armor, and that's going to be the last ability I use. Everything else is just going to be the weapon.
For life support.
So these enemies are going to be a little bit harder.
Tenno, if you have enough time. This would be an excellent place to deploy it.
These pillars here are also kind of soft cover, so you can shoot through them with punch through. So having punch through is sometimes nice. It's a little bit like of a novelty. You're not always going to use it. Well, when it comes to terrain, like you will use it when it comes to enemies. You should try to line them up as best you can to get the maximum damage. But when it comes to terrain, it's a little bit of a novelty to be able to shoot through terrain, but sometimes it comes in handy. So I'm just filling up my Incarnon here again. Got my weapon stolen. So we're at 3 minutes 15 seconds. Doing pretty good on life support. Haven't even needed to hit a single one yet, just because I'm able to farm these yellow ones quickly. Okay, we got Sentience coming in. Sentience will be a little bit stronger against this, but they still die pretty quickly.
Sentient has detected you. Fighters incoming.
Here comes the Acolyte. See which one we get first. We have Torment, he's an easy one. Where is he? There he is. he's gone. We're going to be getting Thraxus spawning here very soon. And with Incarnon weapons, you can switch. You can choose to go into Incarnon mode anytime you want. Like, you know, you can get like one burst and just be a little bit with your Incarnon bar full and still be able to go into Incarnon. It's just going to limit the amount of shots you have. You know, with a full Incarnon bar there, when I go into Incarnon, I have 400 shots, or 600 rather. Sorry. But if I was to go in, you know, halfway full, it'd be like 300 shots. So if you know something crazy is going to happen and you're not full, you can still switch over to Incarnon mode. We have not had to hit a single life support. I think this is the best so far out of all the weapons I've tested. I could be wrong, but I think some of the strongest ones were the Proboscis Cernos and the Tenant Cycron, and I think the Trumna as well. I think with them, I still had to hit a life support before, 5 minutes. They're strong in their own rights too. They do things a little bit differently. Proboscis Cernos is really good at dealing with enemies that are grouped up, but not necessarily in a line. Where this is good for grouped up enemies who are kind of Congo lining towards you because of the punch through. I'm getting a little bit low on life support here. I'm going to probably hit like 2 of them. Let me kill this group, pick up as many of the yellow life supports as I can, and then I'll hit some life supports here. So 8 minutes 30 seconds in, we're hitting our first life support. But again, we're probably going to hit 2 of them here just to kind of top off. You used to be able to fill Incarnon with dead enemies. Like, if you killed an enemy, if he was still in the animation of, like, dying, you used to be able to, like, continue to shoot that dead enemy's head, and it would fill the Incarnon. However, I've noticed it doesn't really happen anymore. I probably did not need to hit that, actually. I saw the Acolyte was coming, and I wanted to make sure I was topped off. Acolyte's dead. And then we're probably going to move over to the next set of air supports, life supports. We're going to kind of kill our way over to the next set of life sports. Gonna pick up some small life sports on the way. Perfect Exodus. And the whole like I think it's called Galvanized Aptitude versus Serration. They're both very good. It's just that if you're killing enemies with like 1, 2, maybe 3 shots, Serration will be better than Galvanized Aptitude. Galvanized Aptitude is good when you're fighting enemies that have a little bit more health on them. Or if your weapon's a little bit weaker. Like against this Eximus, Galvanized Aptitude definitely would be better. But against this guy, you know, 1 bullet, he's dead. The Serration's going to win out. There's not even time to put status on the enemy at that point. You know, he's dying to the first shot before status is even applied. So Serration wins out in those cases, and Aptitude will win out in cases where the enemy can take like 3 or more shots to kill. And that's why I think that slot specifically, the Serration slot, is kind of, you know, it's up to the viewer, whatever you like. If you're struggling with Eximuses, put on Galvanized Aptitude. If you just want more raw damage against like everything, Serration. And you know, at the end of the day, that's your Riven slot too, so you don't even have to think that hard about it. Because once you get a Riven, you plop them both off and you put the Riven there. So we're almost at 15 minutes in. We have the next Acolyte spawning right now. I am going to hit 1 life support, so we're topped off at 100%. So we can just focus on the Acolyte and the Thraxus spawning after him. There he is. I always get knocked down as soon as he spawns. And there he goes. The Burston is one of the weapons where, like, the Incarnon mode makes the weapon. If you don't have the Incarnon mode on the Burston, you know, it's only this mode here, the Burst Fire, which is, it's okay, but it's not anywhere near as strong as its automatic Incarnon mode. Thraxus spawning here.
The void wants us to find this. These mimic stations, they aren't from the neural section.
Fill up our Incarnon a little bit on him.
Are drawing from your life supply.
And if you're going to get a Riven for this weapon, the weapon is already in red crit, so you don't need crit chance. Crit damage would probably be the top tier stat. Multi-shot would probably be the next best thing. And then kind of up to you at that point. I mean, if you were to get like a 3 status or a 3 effect Riven, positive effects, maybe flat damage. Like that could be an option, flat damage. But you're already at red crits, and you're comfortably at red crits, even without what with your stacks really low, or with no stacks at all. You're at like high yellow to orange crits, like right off the bat. So you're heavy in the crits without even having to stack galvanized scope very high.
If they scan you, sentient fighters won't confirm their The sentient is onto you. Look out for troopers.
So we're almost at the 20-minute mark here. At the 20-minute mark, we'll extract. And we'll just assume this weapon has proven itself. It's good against little guys, good against big guys, good against everything, really. Left. Give me my weapon back. Have to fill my Incarnon. Alright, we have the final Acolyte spawning now, and then in less than a minute we'll have the last group of Thraxes spawning. Misery. I'm going to save a little bit of my Incarnon for him. There he is. Of course it runs out, and I get staggered. Is in that general direction behind those red crits. He's dead. I've actually gone and made my damage numbers a bit smaller, so it's easier for me to see. And you can do that right in the options without having to do anything weird to your game. Alright, so we're at 20 minutes. We killed both Thraxes. We're at 1,528 kills. I'm going to head over to Extraction. So this weapon performed extremely well. I was not struggling for life support at any point, really. I picked up a few just to make myself a little bit comfier when I was like, maybe at like 60 or 70%, and I knew the Acolyte or the Thraxes were going to spawn, so I just wanted to top off. But other than that, I wasn't really struggling for air.
So you conquer yourself.
I'm going to go over the build one more time. So it is the Burston Prime, and it's with the Incarnon on it. So we'll go over the build first, and then we'll go over the Incarnon evolution second. So we're going to be using Galvanized Chamber for multi-shot, Galvanized Scope for crit chance, Serration for flat damage, Prime Shred for fire rate and punch through, Critical Delay and Vital Sense for crit chance, crit damage mods, and Malignant Force and Prime Cryo rounds to make viral. Now, if you don't have Prime Cryo rounds, you could use any other cold mod to make viral. You could use the 60-60, you could use the 90 mod. Doesn't really matter. They're going to perform about the same. But if you have the primed, it's going to give you a lot more flat damage added. Exilus slot doesn't really matter what you use because we get our recoil reduction from one of the evolutions. So I use Agile Aim. It just makes me move a little bit quicker while I'm aiming. It's barely noticeable, but there's not really anything better. So if you want to even just leave this slot empty so you can maybe save a Forma, that's also an option. And then we're using Primary Deadhead to increase flat damage by a bunch and to give more headshot multiplier. So that's the Burston Prime build. Now I'm going to go over the evolutions for it.
Each time he cleans something, he makes something else.
First one is just, where you start. So the second one here, we're going with Fortress Salvo to increase our damage by plus 42. And with armor over 450, we're going to get plus 2 punch through. Now, we already have the punch through from Prime Shred, but hey, extra punch through is welcome too. Forceful Finality is it increases your damage also by plus 42, and it adds plus 5 multi-shot on the final burst of the magazine. Now, unfortunately, this does not work for the Incarnon mode. This only works for the crappy mode. So that's why we don't take this one. We take Fortress Salvo instead. On the next evolution here, we're going to be going for Kinetic Battle for negative weapon recoil. And it's kind of the same reason why, because these next two evolutions aren't really going to work for the Incarnon mode. So we have the on reload from empty plus 100% reload speed. The Incarnon doesn't use that. And increases magazine capacity by plus 21. Again, the Incarnon doesn't use that. And so we use Kinetic Battle. It's a pretty easy answer there. So third and final evolution, we are using Absolute Valor to increase crit chance by plus 22%. Fatal Affliction looks good, but the Incarnon mode, it has innate heat, and we have viral on our weapon. And it has no IPS stats, the Incarnon mode. So that's only 2 effects that are going to be on the target. So that's plus 80% damage. It's kind of a low amount compared to plus 22% crit chance. So the crit chance is going to be a lot stronger. And this here is, the same story as the previous evolutions where it doesn't work on the Incarnon mode. On a full burst hit, which is the regular mode, you get plus 20% damage and it resets on reload. So not really that good there. So we're going to go with the Absolute Valor for crit chance. Those are the evolutions for the Burston Incarnon. I hope you guys liked the video. I'm going to be working on the Hystrix next in the next video. I'm going to take about a 5-10 minute break, and then I'll be back on Twitch with the Hystrix video. All right, thank you guys for watching.